was the subject of debate and mixed emotions in Brooklyn Center. The temporary fence around the Brooklyn Center police station will come down and a permanent one will go up. The temporary fencing was erected in April of last year after protests and unrest that followed the death of Daunte Wright. There was already fencing around the back and sides of the police station that was put up back in 2003. The city received a grant for $150,000 to help cover the $190,000 cost of the new fence. The new one will be curved across the yard in front of the building. City Manager Reggie Edwards says the design keeps the building secure while sending a message of togetherness and understanding. Even though the matter was not up for a vote, the mayor and 3 city council members disagreed about putting the fence up after a presentation at this week's city council meeting.
I think it is a mistake to respond by building a fence, a wall in front of the police station in response to an event that doesn't happen every day.
We're balancing both the needs of our police to feel safe and supported by their leadership, as well as the needs of our community to feel like the police are there to actually serve and protect them as well.
Construction on the permanent fence is expected to begin later this month. Brooklyn Park voters will go to the polls to choose their next mayor. Council member Winfred Russell and Hollis Winston are both vying for mayor. Both candidates supplied a candidate statement. Here's what they had to say.
The next mayor of Brooklyn Park must be a person who has experience managing multi-million-dollar budgets, working with a diverse group of people, and who has proven leadership abilities. I'm uniquely qualified as Brooklyn Park's next mayor. My academic training, community work experience, and life's journey have prepared me to be a great mayor. I will continue working hard on the council for all residents, keeping their best interests in mind when making decisions. I'm committed to effective crime prevention and reduction strategy, youth diversion programs, housing options, and fiscal responsibility, and also creating opportunities for all. So, for an experience you can trust, vote Russell for mayor.
Hi, I'm Hollis Winston, running to be your mayor of Brooklyn Park. I am married to my wonderful wife of 18 years, Latrice, and have 3 beautiful children. I possess an MBA from the Carlson School of Management and have served on the Brooklyn Park Budget Advisory Commission for 2 terms. I currently serve as the CEO of Guaranteed America, where we advocate for small businesses. Our city is now facing huge challenges: economic stress, rising crime, and balancing strategic development with our parks and natural resources. The status quo just isn't working. We need fresh ideas and leaders willing to work with our communities to solve our challenges. As mayor, I will ensure we have a public safety, parks, and youth plan that is effective and inclusive of all our neighborhoods. We all feel safer when we are all safer.
There are 3 council races also on the ballot, and all 6 council candidates did supply candidate statements. You can hear those on our website, ccxmedia.org. Did you know the first domestic violence shelter in the country was here in the Twin Cities? Women's Advocates continues to help survivors from across the metro in new ways. To talk about some of those ways, we sat down to talk with Women's Advocates Mary Beth Baker in today's Newsmakers.
Women's Advocates was the first domestic violence shelter in the country. We're a nonprofit in St. Paul offering what we call a continuum of safety for victim survivors of domestic violence. So that continuum starts with prevention. We do outreach, education. We have a 24/7 crisis line. And then in the middle of that continuum sits our emergency shelter, where we house victim survivors and their families for about 90 days. And then we have a housing stability program at the end of that continuum. So when folks move from shelter into their own homes, we're still walking with them to heal, to support, provide them resources.
And you have something new coming up.
Yes, we just launched the Emergency Hotel Stay Project to provide 10 days of respite, basically emergency stay in area hotels for victim survivors who can't access shelter.
And these hotels are all over the metro area.
They're all over, so we can really meet survivors where they are, or we can place them, if where they are is too dangerous, we can place them somewhere else in the metro entirely so that they are somewhere safe.
When folks get into a hotel, what comes next?
Well, as soon as they are in the hotel, where our community outreach advocates are meeting with them, we are taking inventory of their support systems. We're saying who in your life has your back, who cares for you, who are the people around you that that you can seek support from. So the survivor brings in their wealth of resources and family and friends, and our advocates bring in their knowledge about systems, services, area organizations that can help the survivor, and we sort of pool our resources together and immediately start game planning. So we only have 10 days, right? But let's talk about what comes next after that. So we're pooling all our information together to find them somewhere else to go after those 10 days are up.
And why are hotels a good, attractive option for some folks?
Hotels are great for survivors, and we learned this during the pandemic because abusive relationships really rob you of your privacy and your autonomy. Something as simple as being able to close the bathroom door behind you becomes really precious to somebody who's been monitored and controlled in an abusive relationship. So the hotel setup is really helpful and really conducive to survivor autonomy. But putting survivors in hotels also allows us to serve people who aren't typically served by the standard women's shelter. So men, trans folks, gender nonconforming people, it allows us to be a lot more inclusive and expansive in our services, because we know that it's not just women who are experiencing domestic violence, but there are so few shelters and services for folks who aren't women.
If somebody's interested in following the work and what you guys are doing with women's advocates, what should they do?
Yeah, if you're interested, if you want to learn more about women's advocates or learn more about the Hotel Project or learn more about domestic violence in general, you can go to our website, which is wadvocates.org, and that'll take you to our whole list of events, who we are, what we do. You can learn as much as you want about us.
All right. Mary Beth Baker, thank you very much for being here today.
Thanks.
The Hopkins girls soccer team had an inconsistent season, but two constants for the Royals were Charlotte Lee and Avery Petty. Jason Malillo profiles the Hopkins duo in this week's CCX Sports Spotlight.
One is a vocal leader.
Avery is totally gregarious and outgoing.
The other leads by example.
She digs in, she works hard, she's got a real engine, and she wants to compete all the time.
But together, Avery Petty and Charlotte Lee are an intricate part.
They really help create a culture for us.
Of the Hopkins Royals girls soccer team.
The rest of the kids buy in. They see that those girls are committed to their craft and that they're great assets to our program, and they feed off of it.
Lee is a senior midfielder and defender and a force on the Royals' back line.
She's definitely just always locked in and switched on.
While Petty, or AP, is a hard-charging junior forward.
She's a beast out there.
The Royals' leading scorer this season, Petty is a dazzling playmaker.
I remember one time she beat 3 players and dribbled it almost halfway down the field and then drew a foul in the box and then took that PK and scored, and it was so cool.
Lee and Petty are good friends and go back a ways.
Her first year on varsity was 9th grade, mine was 8th grade, so we've been playing soccer for a long time.
They both grew up in Golden Valley and also play club soccer together. In 2019 and again this past summer, their club team qualified for the U.S. Youth Soccer National Championships.
2019 was kind of, we were the underdogs. We never really thought we would make it. And then 2022, we were a lot more confident making it to the final. And it was just something, because every, club player's dream is to make, it to the national championships, and to get there was, a great feeling.
Lee and Petty's connection and friendship translate well to the pitch as they've battled through an up and down season for the Royals.
It's so much fun because AP is she's such a fun person, and she's so nice, and she's competitive, and she really pushes other people to be better. So that's really fun, and it's also just fun being able to play with the same person for so long, just because you kind of get to know them really well and how they play really well, and that's just fun to work together like that.
Lee and Petty will go their separate ways after high school. Lee hopes to play Division III soccer next year and study environmental science. Petty has committed to play soccer for the Gophers, but the memories and experiences at Hopkins will stay with them.
It's mostly the team that makes it memorable, though. My teammates are super nice, and we just have a fun time at games and practices.
For the CCX Sports Spotlight, I'm Jason Malillo.
Thanks, Jason. Hopkins won its section quarterfinal round game behind a goal and 2 assists from Petty. Runners in the Lake Conference gathered for the conference cross-country meet this week. Jay Wilcox has the highlights.
Cloudy and cool as the girls get started at the Lake Conference cross-country meet at Gale Woods. Top-ranked Abby Nekanicki of Wayzata breezes to an easy victory, breaking the course record for girls with a time of 16:51.95, also setting a personal record. Alone in second is Hopkins sophomore Sydney Drevlo. Her time is 17:32.28. After 2 Minnetonka runners, Wayzata's Tegan Anderson and Grace Mignon are 5th and 6th as Wayzata easily wins the team title. Then it's the boys' turn to take the course. And a great showing for Hamza Muhammad of Wayzata as he wins in a time of 15:25.20, beating out defending state champion Nick Gillis of Minnetonka, who is second, just ahead of Daniel McCullough of Wayzata. William Weber of Wayzata is 4th as the Trojans boys also win. Here's what the individual champs had to say.
I felt great. I think just going into the race, our team, we just want to have a lot of fun. You know, Gale Woods is such a fun course, so in conference it's fun to have 12 runners in the line. So
I didn't want to waste too much energy today, because I knew if he had a kick, I'd be in a lot of trouble. So basically the whole time I was saving a lot left, and at the end I had a lot left, and I didn't need to use it. So that was awesome.
Jay Wilcox, CCX Sports.